probably the most used Lancia Fulvia in the UK.
Family and heritage, two words that come up a lot in today's conversation. My guest today, Julien, has a love for Italian rally cars, specifically the Lancia. Today we're going to talk about the history and heritage of the brand, how Julien fell in love with the Lancia brand, which includes his father being team principal of the Jolly Club GB. This behind me is Lancia Fulvia, is used all year round, whether it's daily driving, hill racing or anything in between. As always with Resto Revival, you're here for the full story. Welcome back to Owners Club. This is episode 12. I'm Will. Let's get into it. Julien,
Yes.
thank you for joining me.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you for your time today. Let's talk about this beautiful red beauty between us.
Okay, this is my 1971 Lancia Fulvia. It started life as a 1.3S road car. And back 30 plus years ago, it was transformed into more of a sprint car. Cage went in, lightweight panels and what have you. But was running basically a stock 1.3S motor with a modified airbox. I heard about this car coming for sale when the gentleman that had it passed away in 2019. It came up on the open market sort of thing, and a good friend of mine, Fulvia Classics, Tony Rosewell, procured the car, brought it back to the UK. Since it's been here in the UK, I've played with it quite a bit. It's now running a little bit more horsepower than over the stock car. It's on Weber 40s, side drafts, sounds great, goes great. We hill climb it, we Euro tour it, we've done some track days with it, but it's really, really built for hill climbing. That is where it really, Prescott, Shelsley, things like that. Sounds great, gets loads of attention. It's a lightweight car, all aluminium, bonnet, boot, doors, plexiglass, 840 kg for a little Italian sports car. Used all the time, as you mentioned, all weather. We don't worry about, it's great in the snow, front wheel drive, and that's why they were so successful in things like the Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
They were just designed for ploughing through, skinny wheels, unlike your modern cars that are running sort of 17, 18 inch wheels, with big tyres.
Yeah.
This is just 175 rubber, which is, pretty skinny really.
Yeah.
But it's if I don't use it, I would be very cross with myself, because having grown up with these as a kid in my dad's garage in Dudley in the West Midlands, where he had all sorts of exotica coming in and out, and then he got hooked on the Lancia Fulvia with the Jolly Club.
Yeah.
Setting up Jolly Club GB, and that was it. These cars were running in the Motoring News Championship, British Rally Championship, RAC Rally. They did the 1970-71 RAC. Okay, when you're competing with the works cars, you're never going to sort of, come out top.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it was these cars were being showcased, and so my first one I got in 1980, which was a left-hand drive one while I was working in Switzerland.
Yeah.
With my twin brother, and then 82 back in the UK, I procured my first one, KYO 5K. 1600 HF Lusso, still on the road today down in Surrey. And I used that as my daily driver for 7 years. 7 years. And, great car. People think, even today, I get youngsters coming up to me at the lights in a Corsa or a Clio, and they're looking at me, old guy, in an old car, and I just... Poof,
And hopefully you embarrass them.
I do.
Good.
I do.
Good.
It's been a labour of love. It's to sort of replicate the 1971 Daily Mirror RAC, which was the car I have fond memories of, and it's been worked on by my identical twin brother at his workshop over in France. He's done a load of work. Tank Barrett in Ludlow has done a fair bit of work, and then JPR Tuning down in North Gloucestershire.
Thank you for all that. You summed up all of that a lot better than I could. So I mentioned in my intro the sort of history and the family history then. So what was it for your dad and Italian rally cars? Why that particular path in motorsport?
It goes back to when my dad completed his national service. He didn't know what he was going to do, you know. He became the original Arthur Daly, used car sales lots and what have you. Always drove a Jag. And then he started looking after some race cars for some wealthy clients. Cooper Climaxes, Lotus 11s, things like that, a Mercedes SLR. And then he got introduced to another guy that got him into Milano. So he goes over to Milano and he starts procuring Isa Rivoltas in 1964. And these cars weren't driven over, they were flown over on BOAC commercial aeroplanes, straight into London. Earl's Court Motor Show, 1964, the IR 400 was there, 400 brake horsepower in 64. That's a big number.
Crazy.
Because I remember him saying to me in back early 70s, and he was saying, oh, Clay Regazzoni's F1 V12 Ferrari was about 356 brake, you know, and they had 400. Autocar couldn't believe it in 64.
I can imagine. That would have just felt like a rocket ship.
4 Weber motor. The noise was unbelievable. You could shatter windows. So he then meets the Angelini family in Milano because he was spending a lot of time in Milano. Meets the Angelini family who had Jolly Club rally race team. And that was it. He saw the Fulvias, played with them, had a go and started bringing them over to the UK. And that's the story, you know, from a little backstreet garage in Dudley in the West Midlands, you know, it was the hub for Jolly Club. Lancia Fulvias.
Yeah.
And so myself and my twin brother, we would go to school in these, you know, the 71 Daily Mirror RAC. We spent the whole week in a course car following the whole event in a S-type Jag, original S-type Jag, just being hacked around week out of school. Best memories ever. And still to this day, for those that know, Castrol R, the smell of Castrol R. If you've ever smelt it, you know what I'm talking about. Have you smelt it, Will?
No.
Castrol R,
Yeah.
right? Castrol R is an ether-based oil that the rally cars in the 60s, 70s were always burning. So you stand in a forest and all you'd smell is that waft of Castrol R. It's pure nectar.
You mentioned that the previous owner of this car had it for 30 years.
30 years.
And you brought it from France.
It came from France. My friend Tony Rosewell brought it over in a trailer. It had been parked up from 2019, French probate. The guy had passed away. It was stuck in French probate. Got through probate, and we collected the car in 22. And straight away, from the first day I collected it, it was used all the time.
Yeah, talk to me about what you've done to it or what you've had to do to it.
Okay, all the brakes have been rebuilt. Okay, modified the exhaust to a Group 4 exhaust, not in stainless steel, in mild steel.
Yeah.
My brother in France did that, and then with the engine we decided to take the Solex carbs off, which still had a standard airbox, even though the airbox was modified and what have you.
Yeah.
And you know, Italian cars have to have Webers. I don't know why Lancia put Solexes on, because Solexes were a French carburettor. They look very similar to a Weber, but there's just something about a Weber carburettor. The noise, you know, the smell of fuel, everything is, and you've seen what it looks like under the bonnet.
Yeah.
It looks pretty sexy, and you know, for an engine bay.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
there's no plastic cover there that says TDI, TFSI. It is just raw, proper petrol head engine bay.
Yes, yeah, we'll definitely get to the engine bay.
The guys in the Lancia world, like Tank Barrett and Fulvia Classics, have told me that this is probably the most used Lancia Fulvia in the UK, if not Europe, and the world. Which I'll take that, you know, because it's just crazy, you know. Fully comp insurance, £175 a year, with European breakdown recovery and what have you. 175, zero road tax,
Talk about a no-brainer.
no MOT.
Yeah.
It's the cheapest motoring. Okay, it's not the most economical, certainly on Webers, but you know, when you're not paying,
By the by, isn't it?
yeah,
By the by, miles per mile,
absolutely,
you know, and all that. So,
it's, absolutely.
and it's not just driven. This is raced and rallied.
It's red lined
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah. You know, it's driven the way the Italians designed it to be driven.
Absolutely.
Even though it's a 54-year-old car, it's maintained impeccably.
Yeah.
You know, the oil's changed 4 times a year,
Yeah.
so every quarter as a fresh oil and what have you.
Yeah.
And I'm always fettling, always doing something. You know, but they just need to be. It's not where it's parked up at the end of September,
Yeah.
early October, and then doesn't come out until Easter. And then people realise, oh, it's been in slumber for the winter, and then the brakes are binding or the clutch is binding, you know, because it's used all the time.
And you do hill climbing?
Hill climbing, yeah. Prescott, Italia, Shelsley Walsh and Worcestershire.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky they're both relatively close, Cheltenham and Worcestershire.
Yeah.
So from where I am, it's and it's just a great environment, you know. You get a mix. When we did the Gumball 3000 last year, obviously there was a lot of your big supercars and all your big YouTubers, Matt Armstrong and you know, Mark McCann and all this sort of stuff, you know, and they were getting all the attention and what have you. And then we come out of the paddock in this little Lancia Fulvia, and people of a certain age group remember this from when it was new.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it attracts the attention.
Yeah. You're exactly the type of person, you know, that I created this channel in mind, because, you know, if it wasn't for people like yourself, these just wouldn't exist.
No.
They would have faded into nothingness or scrapped, or, you know, there'd be a few in museums somewhere. But yeah, it's, you know, passionate petrol heads.
Yeah, absolutely.
You use this. It's not just about a display item or to tell people you have one. You use it because it brings you joy.
It brings me so much happiness.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's my Lancia Fulvia.
Fantastic.
It's a tribute to my father, and yeah, the memory lives on.
Yeah, I love that, because, you know, obviously this is a different car. You don't see them very often. It's covered in stickers from all of the, you know, your life adventures. But I love the history that's wrapped up in this car.
Yeah.
Not only the Lancia history and the heritage that comes with the Jolly Club and the World Rally Championships, but, you know, your father's in this car, and your brother, and everything in between. I love that.
Whenever we go out, you'll see there on the firewall is my dad's original Milano black plates.
Yeah.
These plates travel with this car with me all the time. When we were in the Alps, he's with us, you know, his plates are with us, you know. We do the hill climbs at Prescott, the plates go on the car, and it just creates another story, and it helps us to, you know, live the memories and create more memories.
Well, let's look under the bonnet. Any opportunity to do so, and I will.
So here we go, Will. This is a narrow angle V4, single piece cylinder head, twin camshafts, now running Weber 40s.
Yeah.
Okay, with open trumpets, great induction noise, you know, electric fuel pump, oil breather, catch can, everything is, you know, it is just set up perfectly. And, you know, this is a lightweight car with the aluminium panels.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a show queen. It's not going to get me, you know, concourse awards and things like that. We haven't built it for that. You know, we've built it so people can hear it, see it, enjoy it. It's a beautiful engine bay to look at.
Yes.
It's absolutely stunning. And with the gearbox, the way it's positioned and what have you, the whole weight to balance, it's perfect. And that's why, you know, 72, Monte Carlo Rally, RAC, you know, the works cars, you know, really did clean up.
Well, you know, you go back to some of the Lancia stories, and it was always the underdog, wasn't it? Yeah. It was always, you know, in terms of how they were built, how they were marketed, how they were sold. Yeah. It was all about being the underdog against
the Italians always wanted to produce things of beauty, something different. Yeah. And you know, people say, oh, you know, Lancia Fulvia, you know, front wheel drive, but hey, let's go back a few years earlier when we had the mighty Mini Cooper S, Paddy Hopkirk, front wheel drive, little car, woof, was beating everything, you know. And it always amazes me when I watch the Monte Carlo Historic, you know, and you see the Renault Alpines of the same era, the Porsche 911s, same era, and what have you, and then you see the mighty little Lancia Fulvias coming through, and you know, it's just, they were built to be rally cars.
Absolutely they were.
It's, you know, it's a great story, and it's great to be a part of it, you know, it really is.
Yeah. Wonderful.
I mean, you
Well,
can smell them. You can smell them.
I was going to say, for all the viewers that can't smell it, it's quite an intoxicating smell and mix between petrol, oil. It's the proper classic car smell, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You can't beat it.
No. Well, on a day like today, there's only one thing left to do, and that's to take it out for a drive.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Not many 1.3s go like this.
No. Or sound or smell. But it's nice to see the dog leg in action.
Oh, it's a great gearbox. You know, Lancia just overspent on the whole project. You know.
Oh. Why in the hell would you soundproof this? That's just it's just intoxicating. I think if I owned this car, I'd be late all of the time because I would always choose the longest route.
Hey, there are shorter ways I can go to work, but
Yeah.
when you look at the Malverns in the distance, you know, we cross the River Severn.
Yeah,
It's just a beautiful drive.
absolutely.
No ABS,
No,
no mod cons.
no, who needs them?
It's, you know, but these brakes are as good as my wife's 2018 Mini Cooper S JCW.
Yeah,
The brakes on here, absolutely unbelievable.
yeah.
And the car's 54 years old.
Well, as you were saying, Lancia's demise was building cars almost too good of a standard.
Yeah.
They didn't
Yeah.
scrimp. It wasn't about margin. It wasn't about mass production. It was about care, attention, detail, quality. And ironically, it puts them out of business. It's not about raw speed, is it? It's just about getting those revs high and just listening to
Absolutely.
it sings, doesn't it?
It does indeed, Will. It sings. It thrives on having the RPM up. Yeah, it absolutely does. And when we were doing the Alpine passes, it's not about having 400 brake horsepower, not at all.
No.
101 horsepower with a dogleg box, with a little car that just loves to be revved right up to the top. The guys in the big stuff, every time they planted their right foot, their rear end came out. Yeah, and they're going, wow, I can't believe it. These guys in the Lancia Fulvia, they're just there all the time, you know.
To me, it's a definition of rewarding driving because you do really feel like you get something back from the way you drive it. I love it.
You do indeed. Okay, are we?
Yep. How can that not put a smile on your face? It's fantastic.
It's what it was designed to be doing,
Absolutely. This is absolutely how the Italians intended.
Yeah, absolutely. My friends in Italy that have Lancia Fulvias, they all, drive theirs passionately the same way. And I have a few of my buddies here in the UK do the same.
Yeah.
You have the people that have the concourse cars that would certainly not redline their car, but it's all about maintenance,
Yeah.
looking after what we've got.
Absolutely. It's looking after it carefully and then driving it not carefully.
Yeah, I mean, that noise, I can see you're going to be having a look online later, Will. You're going to be looking, aren't you?
I'm thinking, where do I put an Italian sports car and not tell my wife?
It's like in life, you know, there's some things you have to do. Yeah.
Own an Italian sports car.
If you've never owned an Italian car, a period Italian car, it has to be, you know.
I think that's what's dawned on me in the last 2 minutes. Thinking, you know, I'm going to have to make room for an Italian car in my life. So
now you've been sat in the co-driver's seat for a while, Will. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts?
I love it. I love how connected it feels. It's that sound that soundtrack. I will never ever get bored of that. You just want to rev it all the way. Yeah, I love it. It's so... This car tells more of a story than I can ever. It feels... You can almost feel how it was designed to be driven.
Yeah. It's your first Italian car on your channel.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad that we've...
good tick in the box, yeah.
I'm glad that we've been able to do that.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely something about classic Italian cars.
There is.
And it doesn't have to be a Ferrari or a Maserati.
No. And today's video has taught me that. Because even after the worst day at work in the world, drive this home and you're a different person by the time you get out.
Well, I can be having the worst day ever, you know, and all I have to do is get into this, fire it up, and just go and have a drive.
That's it.
You know, it's just one of these things, you know, it just takes me back to my childhood.
Well, thank you for your time today. And
absolute pleasure, Will.
Taking me out in it. It's been a pleasure to sit here in this. I've loved it.
At the end of the day, Will, I'm just a mere custodian that looks after this for the period of time, and if I can showcase it with as many people as possible, I will do it. You know, I want people to realise that it's not just Mark 1 Ford Escorts and stuff like that. You know, there are other cars out there that are as equally as good as, if not better, you know, that offer different experiences. There's some great little classic cars out there, but it's about using it, driving it, you know.
Definitely. And
you know, not just sort of putting it in a garage and sitting there with a cup of tea and thinking, oh, it's a lovely car, but look at the weather. You know, it's all about, let's get out there, let's enjoy it.
Well, you've been a fantastic custodian, to use your word, but you know, the amount of love, care and attention that you've shown this car is fantastic. So yeah, thank you.
Absolute pleasure, Will.
Yeah, I loved it. Really loved it.
I'm glad it's put a smile on your face.
Oh, absolutely. So the Lancia Fulvia, it's definitely one of those cars that you need to see, be in, here to experience. You get a real sense of character and intentional design, intentional way that it's been built by the Italians to drive it on the red line, not near it, but on the red line. It's really is one of those cars that you need to see to experience. Thank you to Julien for his time today to show me this fantastic car. I've absolutely loved it. I'm now convinced that I've got to find space, time and money in my life for an Italian classic. Not sure where that's coming from, but if you've enjoyed today's video, please like it. If you want to hear more stories like this, please subscribe and join me as I meet more cars and more owners. But yeah, otherwise, thanks for watching. See you next time.